Hello everyone out there in YouTube land. My name is Will, this is Will of the Nerds, and as you can see we're back on deck stats, and we are going to be uploading a new deck today, one of my many that you can see. We're slowly getting my collection put in, and by the time I get probably halfway done with this, I'll have like 10 more new decks to throw in. Because as new sets come out, I see a card and I get a new idea for it, and if you've watched any of my box openings, especially the call time openings, I've gotten a few cards that I need for some of the decks that I've been wanting to make, and it's just a matter of picking up the other cards to fit into the deck. So we're going to start in with the new deck, and today it's something simple. We are doing a Treefolk deck, and as you probably guessed it, it's Treefolk, and it's normal, casual format. And it's only a monocolored deck, so it's all green. It's all green, baby. It's all we need. So I believe it might be 24 lands, but I gotta count just in case. So you get to listen to my illustrious voice while I talk and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It is 24. And we're just going to set them off to the side. We'll punch that in. We'll hit enter. And we are ready to go in. Now, I have played this deck, so it is a little all over the place. So it's going to take me a second to organize and go through everything. But the first card we have out here is Timber Protector. And you know how I like playing two ofs in the decks. It probably pisses a lot of people off, but that's just how I am. Unless I feel like a card underwhelms, I'll take it out and replace it with probably a playset of another card that is in the deck. But I usually like playing two ofs just to get a feel for everything. So we have two of. It's from Lorwyn. I did not know that. So let's click and see. Other Treefolk creatures you control get a +1/+1. Other Treefolk and forest you control are indestructible. So, I mean, there you go. That's a big plus. You need that in this deck. It is not legendary, which is nice. So, if it wasn't so expensive, I would probably at least get another one and play 3 of them in here. Because it gives basically your whole board indestructible, which is nice. They can't burn you. I mean, they can fly over you, but we do have an answer for that. And it buffs your Treefolk. It's 5 mana, which, I mean, is not terrible. You're getting a lot for 5 mana, in my opinion. And next, we are going to go to Gaia's Blessing, which I believe there's only 2 of these in here, too. But we are going to look and see just in case I play more of it. Nope, there's only 2. All right. So this one I do have to separate because one of them is foil. Okay, so that is not how you spell it. It's G-A-E-A. Blessing. Okay. It is from Dominaria. And this one is foil. Is there a way to mark that it is foil? Move card, increase amount. I want to... No, that's not what I want. I want to mark that it is a foil card, though. And I don't know if there's a way to do that. I thought there was. Maybe I can't do it here. But, excuse me, let's take a look. A target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library. Draw a card. If this is put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So it gives you basically 2 shuffles right there. Yeah. So you shuffle 3 cards and then you draw a card. So it's kind of more like a later game thing. Like if you don't have Timber Protector out, or if you have to, discard some cards, it gives you that draw to hopefully get mana that you need and that shuffle, but it also puts some of those cards back in that you might have had to discard earlier. But as soon as it goes into graveyard, you shuffle your library. You shuffle that into your library, so you're not losing it, which is nice, which means you could repeatedly do it and you can always hold on to it. And if they forget about it, then people might be thinking you're holding on to something, which is a good thing if you have a splash of blue in here, because most people might be afraid that you are holding a counter spell, which, if you play people that like to do counter spells, there you go. If I can find this card, I don't know. I only see one of them. There it is. The next one is Great Oak Guardian. So we are going to punch him in. We have two. They are both from the same set. It looks like a Commander set since it is a shield. Yep, Commander 2019. Flash, reach. So there gives you a little protection from flying. When it enters the battlefield, creatures target player controls gets +2/+2 until end of turn and untap them. That is nice. So, I mean, obviously, you're probably going to choose your creatures. You can choose, if you're playing Two-Headed Giant, that works. You can give them to your opponent if you want. Or not your opponent, your teammate if you want. And then it untaps all your creatures to protect. So, you can swing all out, play that card, and then untap your creatures. That would be the way to do it, is play it at the end of turn. That way you get that untap ability from that card. So this next card, you can play a playset of this. I do have another card in this deck that you can switch out for two more of these, which is Plummet. If you know what it is, it's pretty self-explanatory. Plummet, you're just destroying a flying creature. And that's what it is. Destroy target creature with flying. And I have other cards in here that destroy creatures with flying. I think they do a little bit more. So they're interchangeable. You can either take them out, put two more Plummets in, or you can take the two Plummets out and put the other cards in. But you need to have Plummet in here because you don't have a whole lot of defense against flying stuff. So you kind of need that so you don't get your shit kicked in right away. Now we have, I believe, what does this do? Only two of them. It looks like it gives counters. Some of this stuff I'm just remembering because I've played this deck once, but I have so many decks, it's hard to remember every card. Okay, so when you enchant a land, when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and you get to add another mana of any color. Add 2 mana. Enchanted land has tap, add 2 mana of any color. So, I mean, you're tapping 1 mana and getting 2. So why not? Why not have that in there? That's good. Okay, so this, I believe, is the only I forget what else, Treefolk. I think this is the only non-Treefolk card in this deck. There could be one other one, but I had it. I really didn't have anything else to put it in, but it is Regal Force. If I can spell right, which if you watch any of my content, you know I can't. Okay, so it is from Eternal Masters, Regal Force. Let's look at it. When it enters battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control. Obviously, it's a late game thing when this comes out. I think that's why it's in here, is to just help you with the card draw in late game, because there really wasn't anything else that was going to go in. Like, I don't play Commander. Like my, my Hydras are pretty high mana cost to begin with. So, I mean, chances are by late game, you're either not going to have any cards in your hand, because once you get going, you're going to play most of your hand, or you don't have an answer for that flying creature, and you play this, then hopefully you can draw the card you can to get rid of that flying creature. And that is nice, because why wouldn't you want to get rid of somebody's big flying creature when you have no other way to protect against it? And, I mean, you could always put more green drawy stuff in here if you wanted to. And the next card we have is Warden of the Woods. And let's see if we can find him. There he is. He's a newer card. Didn't know that. Core Set 21. Came out, what, last year? Vigilance, nice. Whenever Warden of the Woods becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw 2 cards. That is nice. Again, it's going to be a late game kind of thing to draw you some cards. Late game, drawing cards late game is always good. There's nothing wrong with that. That way you at least have cards in your hand and kind of put your opponent a little back, especially if you hold a card or two. Because if you have something to get rid of their flying creatures and you're holding some mana back, they might be a little hesitant to put that down. There's also another card in here that they might be a little bit hesitant to, especially if you're just holding cards in your hand when you're drawing cards. Next is Dungrove Elder. We have 2 of them. It is from M12. Let's see what it does. It has hexproof. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of forests you control. So the least it's going to be is a 3/3. It gives you a quick creature out to protect at least. And the next card we have, also, I lied, we have another elemental to put in here. So there is 2 elementals in this deck. This one, I believe you can put in another deck. I think I had an idea to put it in another deck, but it is Spawnwraith. So let us get it, and let's see. They're both from the dual deck. If I can find it now. There we go, dual deck. Let's take a look at it. When it deals combat damage to a player, put a token that's a copy of it on the battlefield. So yeah, there was a couple like obvious like token decks that I want to make. It's pretty cheap too, so you can make a nice token deck, machine with this. This would actually probably go very good with Impact Tremors. So like if you have any kind of token creation, you know, this has to deal combat damage to a player, so you'd have to make it unblockable somehow. But I mean, if you could find a way to do that, you know, you could probably do a lot of damage or create an army, which is nice because they're 2/2s also. And like most other tokens, like goblins and elves, are just 1/1s. Okay, so next we have Lumberknot. We have 2 of them, and they are both from Innistrad, it looks like. And am I right? I am right. Lumberknot, what do you do? It has hexproof. Also, whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This one could probably be taken out. 4 mana for a 1/1. It has hexproof. Cool. But if you have the other guy that gives them indestructible, then unless there's like a vague like thing that makes you sacrifice a creature, you know, it's not going to do much. I mean, it can grow, but at the same time, again, if you have that other card out that gives your creatures indestructible, nothing on your side's going to die unless like somebody is sacrificing creatures or something like that, which it could get really big. I mean, I guess there's that. I guess I misread it a little bit. It's whenever a creature dies. So any creatures. I mean, if you have a board wipe deck, that thing could get pretty big if you have the right cards out. You know, you have the one card out that makes them indestructible and you board wipe and they don't go anywhere, and it just wow, that thing could get big, couldn't it? All right, next is the reason why you would want the card draw in the end and kind of hold stuff. Fog. This to me is a green card staple. I don't know why. I just really enjoy this card because nobody ever really expects it. I think people kind of have forgotten about it, but it prevents all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. If you're going up against a blue deck, they're probably going to have a counterspell for it, but you know, it depends on what kind of blue deck you're playing against. If you're playing something control-y, then they might not counter it because it's not going to win them the game unless they have creatures out. But if they're playing control, then they might not have the big creatures out to just run you over like you do. Okay, so Colonian Twin Grove is the next card. It is obviously just from M15, it looks like. There it is. M15. Let's look at it, see what it does. Its power toughness are each equal to the number of forests you control, which can be 24 if you play all of your forests, but that is never going to happen. So the biggest it could get, in my opinion, is probably like an 11/11. When it enters the battlefield, put a green Treefolk warrior creature token on the battlefield with the same thing. Its power toughness are equal to the number of forests you control. So you're getting basically a 2-for-1 for 6 mana, which isn't terrible. At least it's going to be a 6/6 in this deck because all you have is forests. So you're going to get 2 6/6s out on the field, which that's not bad. That, to me, that's pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. That's kind of like your, if it had haste, that would be better, but that's kind of like your big end game thing, because unless somebody's going to counter it, then, you know, you're not going to get anything. But if they blow 1 up, then at least you're still going to have 1 left to attack next turn. And now we have Dauntless. What is this? Dauntless Doorbark. There it is. This is from Lorwyn 2, if I remember correctly. It is. What do you do? I don't remember. Power toughness are each equal to the number of forests you control plus the number of Treefolk you control. Has trample as long as you control another Treefolk. So it's more than likely going to have trample unless somebody destroys everything. But if you have that one creature out that gives them all indestructible, then he's just going to be massive boy for 4 drops. So, and it's going to keep going up the more you play stuff, which is amazing. Who doesn't like that? Big, beefy trample boy. The only thing that might make this better is throwing Overrun in here, which I don't believe I have in this deck. But if I'm thinking correctly, Overrun gives your creatures a +3/+3 in trample. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, you can let me know in the comments. Okay, so now we have Bosk Benneret, which is, we have 2 of. Morningtide. Okay. I think I had these cards. I think I got them in just a random, like, thing from Star City Games to give out. Treefolk spells and Shaman spells you play cost 1 less to play. That helps. This could probably be switched out with something else to play a playset of. I don't play Shamans in anything, so obviously the only deck it would go in would be a Treefolk deck. Okay, so now we have Crushing Vines, and it's basically Plummet, but I think it has another ability here. I think it does one other thing, and it is, these are both from the Commander Legends. I think it's Enchantment. Destroy target creature with flying, destroy target artifact. So, I mean, the choice is yours. It's what, 1 more mana to play this over Plummet? But you have the ability to destroy an artifact instead. The reason it's in here is kind of for that, you know, just in case somebody has, like, my one friend has a Hell Vault out, or my one friend has some artifacts that do all kinds of shenanigans that I would rather just get rid of, especially if his flying creatures aren't that big of a threat. Okay, so the next one we have is Cloud Crown Oak. So let us find it. We have 2 of them, and I believe, yeah, these are not from Lorwyn. They are from the other set, which is the Dual Decks. This has Reach, and that is it. There you go. I mean, you could probably take this out for another Treefolk, but it's in there because it has Reach. That way you have, right now you have 4 things that could get rid of flying creatures, and then you have 4 creatures with Reach. So you have an answer for at least 8 flying creatures. Next we have Natural Obsolescence. That's how I'm reading it, but I don't know if that is correct. Natural Obsolescence. That's how I'm saying it. Don't care. And one of these is a foil, so I'm going to try to keep them separate. And I thought there was a way to put them as foil, like I said earlier, but there must not be. Puts target artifact on bottom of its owner's library. This one can be switched out for something else. You could probably find a card that destroys an artifact or an enchantment. That would probably be a better idea to put in this deck. I think I just had 2 of them, and I didn't have any other place to put them. And like I said, I have a foil one, so I was like, it works in there. But it kind of worked with the nature theme, the tree theme. Like Crushing with Vines works with like the trees and stuff like that. I just tried to find stuff that was very like wood themed, like forest-esque themed to put in this deck, and it just worked, which is why it was in here. And the last card we have is Clip Wings, which is it's Plummet. It's Plummet, and with a little bit extra. Shadows over Innistrad. I think it's each opponent. Yeah, each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. So in my opinion, I would take Natural Obsolescence out and throw 2 more Clip Wings in here, or 1 more Clip Wings and 1 more Plummet, because having each of your opponents sacrifice a creature rather than targeting one with Plummet just kind of works out a bit better, because then you're getting a 2-for-1 basically for 3 mana? 2 mana. And Plummet is the same amount, right? Yeah. So you're better off just having Clip Wings in it, making each of your opponents sacrifice a creature. Or sacrifice a creature with flying. So we're going to save it. We're going to hit OK. We have 10 instants, 2 sorceries, 22 creatures, and 2 enchantments over here. We're going to look at the details. Obviously, green mana base, a lot of 2-drops, and 3-drops. And let's see what the most expensive card is in this deck. It's looking like the Dauntless Doorbark. And I was wrong, the Timber Protectors. They're 14 apiece, it looks like, with $52 being the total of the deck, which isn't terrible. Is it going to be like a top deck? No, obviously not. I think I did win once with this deck, and then I came very close to winning, but I couldn't top deck the cards that I needed to win. But there you go. Some more visual spoilers for you. Then we can look at the starting hand, and that is, to me, that's beautiful. That's awesome. I'm okay with that. I'm keeping that. Because you got some high mana cost stuff here. Add another card. Fucking drop in Dungrove Elder already, which has hexproof. It's a 3/3. Obviously, because you just have 3 mana. Next turn, guess what? It's getting bigger. Lumberknot, cool, because now if Lumberknot stays, if you can get the card that gives them indestructible, and these 2 can stick, if at least Lumberknot can stick, like, that's awesome. Like, look at that. You have it right there. It was right in your fucking opening hand for 5 mana, and you have it. So now they're going to get big. Your opponent's stuff's going to die, and your Treefolks are going to stay alive. The only thing is you got to protect Timber Protector because it's other Treefolk. Unless you get the other one out, he could bite the dust. But we're just going to play some cards here. That works. I'm not going to get too much into it, but hopefully you can keep him alive for a few turns. If you can keep him alive for a few turns, you should be able to do a good bit of damage to your opponent by this turn, because you'd be doing 4. At least you drop him for 3, he can't attack. Next turn he's going to be a 4. So, well, excuse me, that's 8. Let's see, it's 7 damage. So 8 and 7's what, 15? And then if anything died, but let's say 16 damage. And I mean, none of it, they can chump block some of it. But let's say hopefully you'd be doing at least 10 damage by this amount of turns. This really doesn't help you too much, I wouldn't think. But Do you have? Oh no, you don't. Yeah, you played. I played the one already. It'd be easier just to keep this a little smarter too. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get a +2/+2. Their target player creatures get a +2/+2 until out of turn, and untap them. So, I mean, you could still play this at the beginning of your turn, but it would be smarter to play it after combat. Attack, then play this, then untap your creatures, and then you don't have to worry about anything, especially if Timber Protector's still alive. Then you can just block all day, and they're not gonna die. You can block with everyone but Timber Protector, because chances are, usually in my games, most people are gonna have about the same amount of creatures out as you right now. I would maybe take one of these away. If Timber Protector's down, you're gonna have all of them still. But we will end it there. So if you guys could please like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell icon. That way you get notified every time I upload a new video. You can follow me over on Facebook and Twitter. The links to those are in the description. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next one.